Hey everybody, welcome to the Dice Tower live Q&A. My name is Tom Vasel. It is October 31st, 2016, and I'm here to take your questions. There's a lot of things going on today. As soon as I'm done here, I'll be heading out to a Harvest Festival activity at my church, where I'll be handing out a lot of candy, running some activities there. So lots of things going on this week. But that being said, there is live Twilight Imperium 3. You wanted it, you asked for it, we said we'd do it, we finally got around to it, hopefully, Thursday. So that's pretty much going to be a lot of Thursday. We'll be starting at 10:30 a.m. I have it split in two parts so that we'll be taking a lunch break halfway through, hopefully halfway through. It will be me, Sam Healy, Rob Oren, and a friend of ours, Vernon, who has painted a lot of my stuff, and you might have seen him on the channel a few times. Anyway, we're all going to be coming together, four of us. I know Twilight Imperium might be better with more than four, but I think for purposes of videoing, we don't want the table too crowded, so it'll be a four-player game. Okay, so, oh yes, put the mask back on. That's true, that's true. That's also original. So, if you have questions to ask, I'll be spending the next hour or so. I won't be going much overtime today, just because there's a lot to do, a lot of reviews to get done. We're recording a couple top 10 lists this week, not posting them this week. We got other things that we're working on because, hey, the end of the year is coming. October has been our most, well, will likely be our most watched month ever, so that's nice of you guys. The People's Choice Top 100 went up. So with that being said, let's get started on the questions. Will you be making another board game soon? No. In the latest Board Game Breakfast, you said you will be taking a look at the Game of Thrones board game. I guess it means you finally got the chance to play it. If so, who did you play it with? Did I say that? Oh, the Game of Thrones, the Iron Throne. This is, I'm sorry, I was getting confused. The Game of Thrones, the Iron Throne. This is the new one coming from Fantasy Flight that's based on Cosmic Encounter. That's the one I'll be reviewing this week. I've always played the, oh, you're talking about the Game of Thrones card game. That I've not played. Game of Thrones board game I played several times. What is my favorite video game, book, and Christmas song? Video game, Final Fantasy Tactics, unless you're talking about computer game, in which case it might be Civilization 6, actually. Book, that one's a hard one, I don't know. Christmas song, there's a lot of really good Christmas songs. You know, it's kind of weird because one of my least favorite Christmas songs is Little Drummer Boy. But the cross of Little Drummer Boy and Peace on Earth is a really good combo. Okay. Let's see here. In your reviews last week, you had a Montreal Canadiens cap. Are you a fan of the CH? Do you follow hockey? No, I very much do not follow hockey. I wore that because a listener sent me that hat, so I wore it. And I'll probably wear it again. It's a nice baseball cap. I don't care about hockey one way or the other, so I don't really care which team I wear. But I don't follow the Canadians. I'm assuming, well, you said that they were Montreal Canadiens. I was going to say, I assume they're in Canada. So I'm assuming they're from Montreal. But that's about the extent of it. How did you feel when you saw the Vasel track in Grand Prix? I was like, what? Did they ask me about this? And yes, they did. I just had totally forgotten about it. It is kind of weird. It's cool in one aspect, but I don't mind reviewing it. There's been Vasel stuff, but I usually say no to this stuff because I really don't want this to be I'm trying not to be celebrity acting, if that makes sense. Why do you not typically review Kickstarter games? Oh, we'll typically review Kickstarter games. But I think you mean before they're Kickstarter? There's a whole ton of reasons. But mostly, if that's what we did, that's all we would ever do. We would never review actually published games. There's that many Kickstarter games out there. Tom, have you ever been in a game group where someone only wants to play the games they brought? If so, how do you deal with that? I've never been part of a game group that's been so small that matters. If someone wants to play the games, like, for example, this past Tuesday at my game group, I was teaching new games to people. After, I think, 2 games, one person said, can we play one of the games I brought? And I said, that's perfectly acceptable. and they want to play their game, so they did. Now, I left because I need to review games, so I need to keep playing these games I have. Tuesday night's my review night type thing. But I didn't do it in an unkind way. They had enough people to play games. I just said, well, that's fantastic, so they played the game and had fun. And if someone wants to do that, now, if it leads into an argument, I don't know what to do in that case. I've not played the game Dream Home. I think Dream Home is in the boxes coming from Essen. They have still not shown up yet, although one box is scheduled to show up today out of 13. Maybe a couple of them will show up. Tom, do you like Lego? I do. Would you recommend Lego Dimensions or a Lego modular building? I just like Lego, period. I don't have any recommendations on it. It's all fun and all super expensive. Hey, Tom, could you explain to me the difference between the Dice Tower Seal of Approval and the Dice Tower Seal of Excellence? Seal of Approval is 6 to 7.49. Seal of Excellence is 7.5 and up. And if anybody gives it those on the Dice Tower, you can have that seal. So, for example, if I said this game's a 4, but Jason, Sam, Z, one of the other reviewers gave it an 8, well, then it's Dice Tower Seal of Excellence, because I am not the Dice Tower. I'm just part of the Dice Tower. Hi, Tom. You think Scythe deserves its high rating on BGG, or is it suffering from a Kickstarter effect? Well, no, what deserves what? I don't know how to do that. I mean, it's not a Kickstarter effect, because there's lots of games on Kickstarter. It's a hype effect for sure. I mean, there's a lot of factors contributing. The artwork is amazing. The game has really cool miniatures and bits. Jamie Stegmaier has a very strong following. And the game is quite good. So all that together is probably why it's so high. When will you be releasing the Christmas list for 2016? About a week and a half, maybe. Will it be possible to come say hi when you're at the Gamma Trade Show in Vegas, despite it being a closed event? It would be difficult because we really work hard there. I wouldn't say no to such a thing if somebody was interested in doing something, because especially at night, we found that it's very expensive to eat on the Strip, so we would like to get out of the Strip somewhere. Your best chance to meet us, though, is probably by going to MeepleCon. We're going to probably be at MeepleCon, which is directly after the Gamma Trade Show, and that was very, very laid back. We just hung out with people and had fun. And again, I'm going to try to head off a lot of questions where people say, when are you reviewing this, 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 and this? Remember, we probably got about 150 to 200 games at Essen. There is no possible way we can play them all. I'm playing them as fast as I can. I mean, as fast as I can. And there's games that didn't even come out at Essen that are showing up. Like, for example, I got Conan sitting on my pile. I got right here in front of me, or right over there, I guess, Star Wars, the dice game and stuff. Those didn't even come out at Essen, but they're games that we want to get out. So there's just a lot of games. Who is your favorite Shark Tank shark? I like these kind of questions. Who's your favorite Shark Tank shark? And of course the things jumped all the way down to the bottom. Who's your favorite Shark Tank shark? Whom would you like to make a deal with? My favorite Shark Tank shark is probably Robert Herziak. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing his last name right. Although I like Lori too. I would make a deal with one of them based on what my thing was and what they wanted. I mean, I would want... there's a lot of interesting things. I love Shark Tank. It's my favorite show. But there's a lot of interesting things. I mean, when they make these deals with people, I would want to know, what am I getting out of this deal? I don't have a product to offer them anyway. I can't take the Dice Tower and Shark Tank. That'd be interesting, though. But I just... Robert seems like the guy who actually cares about the product. I know that some of the other guys, like Kevin and Mark, really care about the money aspect of things, but I think I'd be more interested in learning about the product, having someone who's interested in the product. Would you consider Forenzi for the Dice Tower Essentials line? It needs a reprint badly. Well, I don't know who has the rights for that, actually. It might be something to look into, but I don't... Yeah, I'm not really sure who has the rights for it. Have you watched Fargo, the TV show? Just a few minutes. Didn't grab me right away, but then again, I don't have a ton of time to watch TV. Have you ever been pulled over by a cop? Twice. Once was in the last 5 years because I made a left-hand turn but didn't turn into the left-hand lane. I made too wide of a left-hand turn and accidentally cut a cop off. So he pulled me over and gave me a warning, which was good because all my kids were in the van looking at me. The other time was way back when I first got out of college. I was going home. At that point in time, I was working at Taco Bell, maybe? Yeah, so it was like 2 in the morning or whatever. And I was going home, and there was some sort of gas leak near a bank or whatever. I don't know exactly all the details, but the police officers had closed the road down, and the police officer was blocking the whole side of the road, was waving, and I don't know what exactly happened, but I thought he was saying, go around. The roads were dead, so I just drove around the blockade on the other side of the road. He was actually saying, turn around. No big deal. I kept going, got on the highway, noticed that there were some police officers, 2 of them following me. I pulled over. They said, why did you do that? I explained. They said, we were telling you to turn around. They wrote me a ticket. I said, okay. Misunderstanding. I suppose I could have argued about it, but I was just kind of relieved that that was the worst of it, I guess. So that's it. I try not to speed. I probably would have gotten pulled over maybe a few times in Korea. I got tickets from cameras. What are top 3 films you would like to play as a board game? Mad Max. The Siege of Minas Tirith from from the second Lord of the Rings movie. I don't know. I don't have a third one right now. Let's see here. Imhotep was just released here in Italy. How do you like it? Has your opinion changed since your review? Well, let's make sure I'm talking about the right game so that I don't get mixed up. Imhotep. Imhotep. There you go. The one that was just nominated for Spiel des Jahres. Yeah, I really like it. I still think it could have won the Spiel des Jahres. I think it's a very solid game. I'm wondering if they'll make an expansion for it, but it doesn't need one. It was a lot of fun. Grew up as a huge Thing fan and Galactus fan. Do you think Upper Deck will be allowed to reprint Fantastic Four before they stop supporting Marvel Legendary? I do not think that will happen. I do not know what this whole argument with the Fantastic Four and Marvel and Fox is. It's kind of annoying. The Fantastic Four are kind of like not part of the Marvel Universe right now. It's just very odd. Have the Dice Tower crews played another escape room recently? We have not, although we could, if we wanted to, go up to the one that Zev and Steve and Frank have put together. They have another one that we did not do. So maybe when we have a free day, because it takes a day to get there and back, we'll do one of those. Hi, Tom. I saw you got to play Not Alone last week. Do you think the game is too hard for the person playing the monster? Is it well balanced? Well, if anything, I think it's tilted in favor of the monster, frankly. So the players have to be very clever to outwit the monster. I think it might be a little balanced for the monster, but I don't care. I think that's part of the fun. Do I miss cold Christmases? I guess that's the only time I would miss cold weather and snow is like Christmas Eve. Even though even in Pennsylvania we didn't have a white Christmas. It was like 1 out of 3 times. It doesn't snow all the time. Yeah, that might be it. But it's not that big of a deal. I see there's a Dice Tower Cruise question. That is a Jason question. Email those to him and ask him the questions in regard to that. Notice your Terraforming Mars box has been missing from your shelf. Where is it? I think someone's borrowing it. No, it's right up there. But it was missing from maybe a few reviews because I had taken it to some game days. That's all. It's a hot game. People want to play it, so I bring it along with me. It's on my list of games that are going on Dice Tower Cruise. So you might see some games missing from my shelves because they're going to Dice Tower Cruise. Are you planning to watch a Doctor Strange movie? Yeah, probably. I'm not very excited about it, but it's Marvel, so it's probably good. Hey, Toms, have you played Four Gods? Did you bring a copy from Essen? Well, incidentally, that's the game I'm in the middle of reviewing right now. So you will see a review of that this week. How rigid is your work schedule each day? Do you change plans in the fly, or do you stick with it? I kind of stick with it. I mean, I make some very specific things that I try to get done each day. I don't always get them done, and sometimes I'm very... in my mind, I'm like, today we will record 12 reviews. Like, okay, we did 7. You know, but I mean, I was planning to do 12, and then maybe we'll get extra stuff done this week. That doesn't always happen. And like this morning, there's a lot of administrative stuff, so I was on the phone for an hour and a half. I did not expect that. So like today so far, I've only done 3 reviews thus far. I wish I had done more at that point, but there was other stuff I need to get done. Also, I needed to finish Board Game Breakfast, and we can review, set up the live stuff. So there's a lot of things to get done, but I feel like I'm behind, especially since I'm going to be out most of today. But my goal was initially to get 8 reviews done today. Now my goal is maybe 6. We'll see. I might have to stay up late tonight to do that. We'll find out. Do you watch other board game reviewers' playthroughs? If so, who and why? There's no who in particular. I just watch various reviewers. I pick different games and watch them. I don't watch them all the time. I'll normally skim through them, look at opinion parts of them. I don't have a ton of time, but just to keep up with what's going on. Do you maintain a numbered, ranked list of games that are in line to be removed from your collection when new games are added? I do not. I have a couple games here that are like leaning because I like them a lot. But they're the one, you know, I think if I get another game that's that size matters. Really, but I don't have a list at all. So, like, let's say, for example, this week, let's look at all the games I'm reviewing. Am I keeping any of them? I am keeping one of them, but that's because it's an expansion to a game I already have. I will not be keeping any of the rest of them, even though that one game, for my kids, I wouldn't mind keeping that one, and that's possible. Of all the games that I'm looking at in my closet that are coming up for reviews, I am not planning on keeping... Oh, wait, actually, no. I forgot. There's one game over there that I'm reviewing this week. It's a small game. I'm keeping that one because it's small. So two reviews that I'm doing this week I'm keeping, but the rest I'm not. For next week, all the ones I have scheduled, I'm not keeping unless I love a couple of the ones that I play this week in preparation for next week. How do you feel with playing games with rules and pieces in other languages? I'll do it occasionally. I used to be much more tolerant of it. Now that most games are in English, if I have to play a game that's not in English and one that's in English, I'll probably play the one that's in English. It's just easier to do. How do you manage the issue in a table with several people that may not know the language well? Well, you just work through that, I guess. I don't usually push paste ups on other people where you paste up the cards with English languages, but again, you don't really need to do this much anymore. Do you consider 2 players playing 2 characters each in a co-op cheating? No, why would that be cheating? I mean, you're essentially playing 4-player game. Or he said, is it cheating when I play a co-op game solo by playing multiple characters? I mean, the only cheating would be that you have very good cooperation between the players, but like, for example, I played Pandemic once, all by myself, playing all the characters. Was I cheating? I don't think so, especially in a solo game. I mean, what is cheating anyway? Hey, Tom, my local game stores only have lifestyle games. Following at the store, I'm having a hard time getting a consistent game fix and don't want to afford to be good at a lifestyle game. By lifestyle games, he's talking Magic the Gathering, LCGs, X-Wing, etc. Well, then form a game group. Start promoting it. Talk about people who want to come play board games. That's probably your best bet. Even if it's not that game store or meetup group, but there are people in your area who feel the same as you do, I'm sure. Will you be reviewing the Fog of War? Okay, yes. And again, you don't need to ask the questions about what I'll be reviewing. We'll review everything we can. What games hit your table the most when you're not reviewing? Oh, it's a cross between kids' games that my kids like and my favorite games, really. I mean, Cosmic hits the table, Le Havre. Those games hit a lot. Do you have any plans to visit Canada again? It's not on my schedule. Now, like I said in Board Game Breakfast today, I'm still working on my schedule. Currently on my schedule, I have penciled in Gamma Trade Show, Origins, Dice Tower Con, Gen Con, Essen UK Gaming Expo. Those are the ones that are on my schedule. I have some others that I wrote. I'm not going to say them now. I have some with question marks after them. Maybe I will go to those if possible, but I'll have to wait and see. I never want to assume I'm going anywhere, but I am starting to work on that stuff now. Last year I went to Canada twice. Oh yeah, that's true. I will probably go to Canada this year, but it'll be very minor. If I go to the Gathering of Friends again, which is held in Niagara Falls, New York, I will likely then, it's right across the border, so I just walk right across the border into Canada. So the opposite side of Niagara Falls, sure, I'll be in that part of Canada for sure. And then last year we took a trip up to Toronto to do different things there, and if they organized that trip, I would probably go again because it was pretty fun. I know a lot of people keep asking me for Halloween games. We had made a list a couple years ago. I don't know how much it would change other than I would put Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition on it now. So there's that, but I think we have a list up on the internet somewhere. What is your favorite meeple? I don't know. I like those new meeples with the holes in that they're making for Tiny Epic Quest. Those are pretty neat. Do you consider yourself a moody person? I guess. Isn't everybody to some degree? I mean, I'm not always super happy and cheerful. I'm sure my kids would back me up on that one. The game to the left of Stockpile is Marco Polo. Lego Dimensions is a video game like Skylanders and Disney Infinity. Oh, okay, I don't play those games. I know my daughters. They have both Skylanders and Disney Infinity, but we don't have the Lego one. You're right. I saw commercials for the Lego one, and I thought that's kind of interesting, but no. Does Dice Tower get any money for its Seal of Excellence? We do not. They are free for companies to use. And if you are a company and want to use one of our seals of approval, Seal of Excellence, you can email me and I'll tell you what's required, which essentially is you agree not to. There's just some minor legalese stuff, but I don't get any money out of the deal, and I'll give you a nice version of it to put on your box if you want. And we jumped all the way to the bottom with questions. Yeah! Hey, if someone gets a chance, you know what? I'm actually going to do it myself here. Hang on one second. I'm going to... Okay, we still got plenty of time left in this Q&A. I'm going to copy this link address, and I'm going to put it in the description. All right, let's see. I'm doing this right? I am. All right. Commonly asked questions answered here. All right, great. So now in the description of the video, if you don't have your question answered, there's a good chance it's in the description. You can refresh and find that, and then that will tell you that. So, all right, let's get back to the questions here from the thing. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to do that, but a lot of people are asking questions that are on the commonly thing. Okay, so when I did that, it apparently refreshed the questions, so I missed a whole chunk of them. So if I'm starting with the person who shouts, Dice Masters, woo! Okay, so if you asked a question before that, you might want to ask it again. My apologies. Will there be an official Dice Tower hat? Probably not. There's Dice Tower Con hats at Dice Tower Con. No one who works for Dice Tower runs their own board game shop at this point in time. When will you consider to redo the top 10 party games? It's been 3 years. Well, with our top 10 lists, I decide when to redo them. Our upcoming top 10 lists are we have 4 more top 10 lists we're doing this year. We're doing best games of 2016. That will come later on in the year. We're doing top 10 one-hit wonders. These are designers who that's their only game that people know about. And what are the best games in that regard? We're also talking about top 10 games that that are exceptions to the rule. Basically, we shouldn't like them because it's this style game. I never like that style game. Or it's this theme. I hate that theme. And yet we still like these games. And then there's one more top 10. And off the top of my head, I can't remember what it is. When's the last time you paid for a board game? I think it was last week. Let's see. Surely someone in the group works at CSI. No. Cool Stuff is in Orlando, for one thing. We all live in Miami in our group. Now, Cool Stuff has a store that they will probably be opening up down here at some point in time, but none of us are in application to work there that I know of. Maybe someone who works there will eventually work with us, but I don't think you can have 2 masters per se. All right. Thank you, Jesse, for answering some questions for me. And again, remember, a lot of questions you have asked are now in effect on the side there. Let's see here. Pepperoni pizza or sausage? Probably pepperoni. I would like sausage pizza if they put really good sausage on it, but they usually put garbage sausage on it. Do you have a system to decide which hat to wear in your videos? Yes, basically whichever hat I feel like wearing at any point in time. My 2 favorite expansions for Carcassonne, off the top of my head, I want to say Trader and Builder, and Princess and Dragon, maybe? I might be wrong on these. I really do like both those expansions, though. Let's see here. Do you like Shut Up and Sit Down's reviewing style? Now, this is a very different question than do I like Shut Up and Sit Down? But the way I do my reviews is kind of the way that I would want to learn about a game. There's different styles on games, and the Shut Up and Sit Down review style is done by Efka also, and or no pun included, and I really like his reviews a lot. But while I think the reviews are fine and they're certainly very funny, that's not my style. So I wouldn't watch those as much. That's why I don't do my reviews that way. And I know that my reviews are accused of being formulaic, and they are. I mean, we do the intro, component drop, here's how the game plays, here's my final thoughts. And yeah, that's maybe not clever and Oscar-winning worthy, but I've always thought that people just want to learn about games, so let's give them that information. I try to be interesting, I try to be somewhat entertaining, but it's essentially, is this game fun or not? Here's my opinion on it. So that's kind of what I like, so that's the formula I follow. Arado has his formula, which basically includes him saying he does not review games when I think it's pretty clear he does. But whatever. And Shut Up and Sit Down, and there's different styles. John Gets Games has his own style. That I don't think anyone else is doing that. And obviously there's a lot of people who do it the same style I do. But it's just different styles, different tastes, and I think it's good that there's multiple styles out there so that people can have different things to watch. There's no style that I actively hate, I guess. I just would prefer to watch reviews maybe in the style I do them, which is why I do them that way. What's the easiest sit-up, tear-down, heavy Euro game you've enjoyed? That's a good question. I like questions that are different. For me, it's probably Le Havre. And that's mostly because I have Le Havre. I have all those things in little containers. So I go, open it up, boom, and shuffle a few cards. Although, no, wait, I'll take Le Havre out because setting up that city is a little bit of a chore. So no, Le Havre, cross it off. A heavy Euro game that's quick to set up. Marco Polo doesn't take a long time. They usually take a while to set up, though, don't they? Well, Well, that's a good question. I don't know. If I think of one, I might say it. Hi, Tom. I have a Lahav question. I read that Rado got rid of his copy because he found the end game to always be the same. Well, I don't find that, so I kept mine. The end game's the same. I guess you're always shipping stuff. And or buying expensive buildings. I don't know. It feels different to me every time. I fell in love with Pyramid. I'm assuming you're talking about Pyramid Arcade right here after your review. Is the game published by an American or European publisher? The game is being published by Looney Labs. They're an American publisher, and they will actually be on the Dice Tower Cruise, so you'll be able to play this there if you come on that. Jarl or the Duke? If you're buying for the first time, definitely the Duke. The Jarl's a little bit more complicated. Tom, you often say that older games need a good streamlining and reprinting. I know you've expressed no interest in designing another game, but do you see yourself ever being involved in streamlining? Who says I'm not? Alright, let's see. What do you think about backing Kickstarter board games? What criteria do you use? Well, I don't actually back them very often. My criteria is if I would like to back it, that's pretty much it. I don't really have any strong criteria on it at all. Let's see. How to make Xeno Shift more difficult? I hardly ever win the game. How can it be more difficult? Okay. I always wonder when people say that, are they saying that because they really want to know how to make it more difficult? Or if they just want people to be like, what? You win all the time? You're really good at games. Usually if you win a game like that all the time, my question is, are you playing it correctly? Eric went to a con this weekend as just a player. Do you ever get to go any small cons as just a player, not to work? No, not really. Although I often get to play at small cons more than larger cons. Like we just went up to the one in Connecticut. And the thing is, no matter what, if I go to a convention and if I do any kind of show there, let's say we're doing a game show at night or a top 10 list here or that, that's always on my mind. We got to do this here, we got to do this here, we got to do this here. It's just something I'm always thinking about. How do you like A Feast for Odin compared to Le Havre and Caverna? Well, I like Le Havre and Caverna better, but Feast for Odin is moving up there. When's the last time you played the Colossal? Read on your shelf. Reiner Knitzu would be happy if you did it, I'm sure. Well, he's not the one asking the question. Fedora or pork pie hat? I have both. I wear both consistently. I think I like fedoras a little bit better. Edward from Heavy Cardboard says you agree on bad people in the hobby. Could you elaborate? I don't know what he said and what that thing is. I got to talk to him for a while, and that was very nice. I suspect I know what he's talking about, but I don't think I can elaborate farther if it is what I think he's talking about. Suffice it to say, there are bad people in the hobby. There's always going to be that. It's not all wine and roses. There are people who are just not pleasant people. But we don't make a big deal about that because it just kind of gives the hobby a black eye. I mean, if you're a designer and you say, I'm thinking about working with this publisher, Tom, what do you think? I will tell you. I'm just not going to make a video saying this publisher's a bad publisher, don't work with them. No. You almost tricked me into saying something I shouldn't. All right. Do you frequently rearrange the games in your shelf? I do not. I rearrange them occasionally. What are you looking forward most about the cruise? Just meeting the people who come, I think would be the thing I'm looking forward to the most. Also, I'm looking forward to my family enjoying it because I know they like cruises, and so this is a good relaxing thing for my wife especially. Would you buy the new version of Archaeology, the card game, if you own the old one? Definitely. The new one is much better. I kept it, got rid of the old one quickly. I'm not particularly good at games and have no problem losing, but I've been losing badly lately, and it's starting to wear on me a bit. Advice? Well, get games that it doesn't, there's more randomness involved, or just and stop playing games. If that's what I mean, if you are losing and that's really bothering you, then I don't know that you should play games. See, I lose badly a lot. It doesn't really bother me that much, so that's okay. But if it really bothered me, then maybe I should find a hobby that I don't dislike as much. Tom, does it annoy you that Z doesn't wear the Dice Tower shirts? I'm glad he's wearing a shirt. Why would it matter what shirts he wears? Have you ever bought a product featured on Shark Tank? Yes. I bought several. I bought the man candles because I thought the concept was hilarious. Unfortunately, they were not very good candles. They just weren't. They didn't smell that good. I bought that sponge that was shaped like a smiley face. That was very useful. We wore that one out. That was a really useful sponge. I think I bought socks that were shown off in there. I want to say it's been like 6 or 7 things. I'll watch it and be like, I'm going to order those now. Doesn't happen very often, but I often think, ooh, that's a cool concept. Let's see. When and if you play games solo, do you count that as an actual play of the game? I believe, and he says, i.e. log it in at BG. First of all, I don't log my plays. I don't care about that nonsense. What does it matter? I mean, really, I understand that people want to log their games. It helps them keep track of the games they played. But if you are logging games so that you can say, look how many plays I had this month. Really? What does that matter? That's like talking about the size of your collection. I mean, it impresses people maybe, but what kind of people are you trying to impress with that? Anyhow, but, so no, I don't, sure it counts as a play of the game. Why wouldn't it? For purposes of logging, do what you want. Tom, are you considering a booth at the UK Gaming Expo this year? Last year the news release said you would have one, but there was no sign of it. Yeah, this year we'll have a small booth. Just so it's easier for people to figure out where we are to meet us. How do you store all your Marvel Legendary cards? In 2 different boxes, and I have them all just sorted. They barely fit. I mean, barely fit this time. So if they come out with another expansion, I'm going to either have to decide not to keep it, which Marvel Noir probably won't keep it, or start a 3rd box. From watching your reviews, it seems that you are not the biggest fan of co-op games, but rather competitive strategy games. That being said, what is your favorite co-op game? Well, first of all, I've done a top 10 list, so that's what I would point you towards. But I don't know that. I'm trying to think what would give you an idea that I don't like cooperative games. There are a lot of the games behind me are cooperative. Let me just look here, okay? We got Mechs vs. Minions, cooperative game. Defenders of the Last Stand. Project Elite is cooperative. Eldritch Horror is cooperative. Mansions of Madness is cooperative. Pandemic Legacy, Time Stories. Those are all cooperative games. Flashpoint Fire Rescue. These are all games in my collection right now that are cooperative games. Let's keep going over here. Ghost Stories is cooperative. Really enjoy that. Xeno Shift is cooperative. And I'm probably missing a few of these. There's probably a few that I'm jumping over by accident, but Sentinels of the Multiverse is cooperative. Marvel Legendary is cooperative. Robinson Crusoe is cooperative. Defenders of the Realm is cooperative. Yeah, so I'm not going to go all the way over there because there's a lot of games over there too. But I really like cooperative games. If I get given that impression off, I'm very, very, very sorry because cooperative games are great. Okay. Is your family planning on playing games at the Dice Tower Cruise? Possibly. I have no idea. Actually, I would assume that most of the kids will not. Maybe Melody and Lar will play them occasionally, but for the most part, I don't think that they will want to play them because they like to do the other stuff on the cruise, I'm sure. There's ice skating. I think they're going to be really pumped about that. For the most part, though, maybe. I'm not making them play games for sure. Do you take notes for your reviews when you play a game you're going to review? Not always. Sometimes I do, but not always. I just remember it in my head what I'm going to say. I took notes on our last game of Seafall, though, because there was a couple things I wanted to mention specifically, so I took notes. Our final review of Seafall will be going up this Wednesday. We'll be doing 2 different reviews, one that's not spoiler and one that's spoiler-filled. Final thoughts on Seafall, which are pretty lengthy, actually. I think one of them is almost half-hour long. There's just a lot to talk about. But these will be the last time you'll hear us probably talk about Seafall, other than mentions in different places. With all the hidden movement games available, would you still play Letters from Whitechapel? Yes. I thought it was a good game. Are you looking forward to your TI3 game? It's a live play. I've told you guys I'm not a big fan of live plays online. So, no, not really. TI3 is a fine game, but I'm going to be running things technically and playing TI3 at the same time. That's a lot of stuff. So, probably not. Would you consider putting up a list called To Be Reviewed Soon? Oh, are you kidding me? No. Oh, that would be awful. If I put up a list of To Be Reviewed Soon, do you know how much garbage we'd get over a review not being done yet? You said you were going to review that. When's it coming? When's it coming? When's it coming? That's all we would ever get. So, no. Is anyone from Dice Hour going to the Spring Board Game Geek Con? No. I don't know that will ever happen, probably. It's just too close to other stuff. Who is all playing TI3 in the live play? I already mentioned this, but I'll say it again. Sam Healy, myself, Rob Oren, and a friend of ours called Vernon. The 4 of us are playing. We don't have races. We'll probably pick those ahead of time. There's a lot of different races to pick from, so I'm sure. I don't know which ones they'll be. I don't care who I am. You said you're a baseball fan. Any thoughts on this World Series? Well, I'm still kind of hoping the Cubs will win. I had hoped that the Blue Jays would win so that it could be Cubs versus Blue Jays because Cubs are Sam's favorite team in mine. It's been a running joke of mine my entire life, making fun of Cubs fans. I feel like they deserve it. It's hard to come back from a 3-2 deficit, especially with the last 2 games being in the other team's home, but they can do it. And it would be pretty impressive if they did. And I would love to see what Chicago does when the Cubs win. That would be, there would be a lot of, I think, if the Cubs won, so when are they playing next? I think they're playing tomorrow and then Wednesday. That would be a big celebration in Chicago. And then, depending on what happens in the election next week, I'm sure there might be some other kind of display of some sort in Chicago. That'd be interesting. Chicago is going to be a very emotion-filled city over the next week or so. We really miss Z and Sam's commentary on the People's Choice Top 100. Will they be joining you for that again? No, and I've been getting a kabillion responses on this. They're already all done. They're already all recorded. Most of them are edited. They'll be being posted. I did it myself this year. You say, Tom, we really like Sam and Z. That's fantastic. I do too, which is why they're on the show. But we can't do everything for time purposes. So the fact that they weren't involved with this gave us a chance to do more top 10 lists, which I know you guys also like. Also, I wanted to do something different with the top 100. I've had them on the People's Choice before, and sometimes people don't like it because when we get to a game, let's say Galaxy Trucker, for example, Sam and Z will trash it. And some people don't necessarily want to hear games trashed. They want to hear about the games that made it without them being trashed. I don't mind the games getting trashed per se, but I thought it would be nice to do a list without that one year. Also, if new people get in the hobby, it'd be kind of weird when we say, hey, this game was number 6. And then someone says, well, that should never be number 6. So I thought it'd be just interesting in that fact. They're also shorter videos because it isn't easier to digest. You say, I don't care about all those reasons, Vasel, you still shouldn't have done it. Okay, that's fine, and maybe I'll do it differently next year. But that's what we did this year. And I tried different things all the time. Sometimes they're successful, sometimes they're not. But no matter how many times you say it on these videos, Sam and Z are not going to join them because A, again, they're already all recorded and done. So I cannot change the past. Although if Doctor Who was here, maybe. Tom, why do publishers update to a second edition of a game and change card backs? I don't know why they changed the card backs. Maybe it's just so you can tell differently. Any chance you'd sell Dice Tower polos? Maybe, probably not though. They're expensive for me to buy for myself. The margins we'd make on them would be very, very small. And I kind of like the fact that if you see someone with a Dice Tower polo on, you know they work for the Dice Tower. If you see someone with a Dice Tower t-shirt, they could be a fan or something. But if you see someone with one of these logos, you know that they're with the Dice Tower in some manner or fashion. Tom missed all the love letters from Bonacor by refreshing the questions. I guess I did. Sorry. That sounds like a lie, though. If I met you at a con, would you and Eric let me take you guys out to lunch? My treat. Well, that's always possible, right? You have to run into us at the right time, though, because we don't often schedule our meals. Or we do schedule them ahead of time. So let's say you're like, I want to take Dice Guys out to eat. Well, you would need to email me about that at any specific convention, because we might, like, my meals are usually all planned out at most conventions. We just have to do it that way. Do you think Field of Green could replace Among the Stars? I don't know. I'm hoping it shows up soon, and I'll play it and let you know. Will Z be going to the UK Games Expo next year? He will be. What is my favorite combo in Small World? I don't know. That's an interesting one. I'd have to stick them all together. Maybe I'll do a top 10 list on that someday. All right. I apologize, guys. It just shot to the bottom for questions again. So I have to jump back up to wherever the questions were. All right, there we go. Found them again. So when is YouTube going to fix that? That's really annoying, YouTube. That's not a hard thing to fix. Maybe it is hard. I don't know. Okay, so here we go. Because there's a kabillion questions, I'm going to be skipping and jumping. I'm going to be skipping a lot of questions. I'm just going to look for ones I find interesting and answer them. And if I skip yours, I'm really, really sorry. All right. Since you playtested Quadropolis and Mechs vs. Minions, what are things the prototype had but didn't get released that you wished were in the retail game? Quadropolis was pretty close when I played it. I don't know anything changed, actually. Mechs vs. Minions, it's been so long, I don't remember what changed, except they made it cooperative, which I thought was a good idea. And there was, like, the different paths that they followed. It's a fine game. Both of them, I don't remember. There was nothing that I was like, oh, they should have done that. Let's see here. Any advice for a shy, quiet guy going to his first game night with people they don't know? I know it's difficult when you're shy and quiet, but first of all, you need to make sure you go to somebody and say, I'm here for the game group. Unless, of course, it's the game group's the only thing there, then it's easy. You don't have to say that. But go up to somebody and say, hey, I'm new here. Is there a game I can get involved in? I know that's hard to do, but if you don't do that, people might not know why you're there. You might get ignored. When it's my game group, I always tell people, please come say something to me. Say, hey, I'm new here, blah, blah, blah. Because I hate when someone says, oh, I came, and then no one talked to me. I'm like, oh, I didn't notice you there, whatever. I want to make sure we catch you. It's easy to miss you. Please don't make the fault, if there is any, on our end, not on yours. Go talk to someone and try to get involved in the game. I've seen criticism of the slasher movie-themed card game You Are the Maniac for being too similar to Guillotine. I would argue that it was basically just, from what I saw, this was a Kickstarter that came out 2-3 years ago. It looked like they just straight up copied it. It just looked like Guillotine. Anyway, when many popular games use the same mechanisms, where's the copying line drawn? Wah! That is a whole... We'll do a back talk on that, because that's a whole category. Tom, you teach your kids at home. What are the challenges and joys? Challenges are it's a ton of work, and I will not lie. My wife is bearing the brunt of that, for sure, but it is a lot of work. There's a lot of benefits to it, too. We can take off when we want. We make sure our kids are learning what we want them to learn to some degree. They certainly learn better. My Second grade daughter can read really well. All my kids can read well, with the exception of Claire, but she has unique learning challenges. They can all read really well, and I think part of that is, basically they're being tutored in reading. There's some tutoring involved. Yeah, that's a good. Someone here said to the person who's new to game group, take a game that's really hot. That's right. Bring a super hot new game. People come to you, what do you have? Draw them to you like flies to honey. Used to do short top 10 lists on favorite cards and characters. Can I do one for Arcadia Quest? Maybe. There will come a point where I'm going to all right, I'm going to do some more of those. I did a whole bunch of them in a row, so it's probably time for me to pick some of the games and say, okay, I'm going to do Arcadia Quest is a good example, and there might be other ones too where I say these are my favorite characters from those different games. Most people don't watch those lists, though. Someone said, Tom, have you considered inviting such and such a podcast to join the Dice Tower Network? I don't invite any podcast to join the Dice Tower Network. They come to me, and in fact, we have a list of probably 15 that want to join the network, and I'm just saying no. Not because I'm being mean on it, but because I don't think the Dice Tower Network should have every podcast in existence. So I've kind of capped up our numbers, and if a podcast leaves, then I'll look at all the ones who said they want to join, and we try to pick one that's different than the rest. That's not two guys talking about games per se. So that's what we're looking for now, but I don't think we've had any leave in a while. So if a podcast fades out or leaves, then we would add some more. How many hours have you spent on Civ 6 so far? 15? I spent a good chunk of the weekend playing it, but I would play a little bit, then I'd go record a review. Then I'd play it, then I'd go do something else. I played one complete game of it, although I'm still playing that same game even though I won, because India, Gandhi, really ticked me off. But I just made that man surrender, beat the snot out of him. Felt very good about that. I believe Peter from Russia is next. I'm Theodore Roosevelt from USA. I think next game I'm going to play a different country. But I was very peaceful. It was very peaceful. I was not. India got up my face, and so I had to show Gandhi, that warmonger Gandhi, you know. Will there be any future episodes of Dice Tower Next Gen? No, I think that one's done. Sorry. Why have you forsaken ties? That means you don't watch Board Game Breakfast. I wear a tie every Board Game Breakfast. But for the most part, I don't wear them. Why? I live in Florida. That's true. Terraforming Mars is a pretty quick game to set up. Good, 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 good. Is my hat supposed to be Sam from the Sam and Max games? It's not, but those are great games. What game is, in your opinion, overpriced? I think you mean overpriced. There's a lot that are probably overpriced right now. We'll say Hop. How do you deal with kids crying when losing at games? I tell them they're going to knock it off, because if they're going to cry, I'm not going to play more games with them, because winning and losing is not that big of a deal. And then I make them sit on the ground and we dance around them, pointing at them, laughing about their loss. Part of what I just said is not true. Favorite Halloween candy? Warheads, maybe? I don't know. I can only eat a couple of those now. I used to eat them like candy. That's good. But I mean, I would eat a couple, and then now they tear my mouth up more than they used to. Have you found an easy way to explain VAS to new players? Oh, no. There's no easy way. You're going to have to take your time and explain it one step at a time. It's a difficult game to explain. There's no question on that. Why do you always wear a hat? Because if I take the top of it off, there's my brain sticking out. That's like the ending to a horror movie. I feel like I've seen a movie like where a guy took his hat off and I was like, no. I wear them because I like hats a lot. I don't wear them. As soon as I turn this camera off, I'll take this off because I'm inside. You shouldn't wear hats inside. But I just like wearing hats. It's also kind of the identity of the Dice Tower. But if I go outside, and I'm not doing anything with Dice Tower, I'll always wear a hat. Is Rob painting your copy of Mechs vs. Minions? He's not. I think he's painting his copy, though. I asked him why. It didn't seem like it needed to be painted, but... All right. This person has Anime Bum. Said, check out my channel for some awesome anime videos. Well, I gave you a shout out there. Then I blocked you. All right. Well, I keep the Deadpool expansion for Legendary. Oh, that's true. I should get that soon. I don't know anything about it. How are the recording studio plans going? It will be a while still, probably. It depends on our Kickstarter in January, honestly. How much of your collection do you think you'll move there versus keep at home? I think I'll move almost my entire collection there, except for the games that the kids like. I'm going to turn this room into a kids' lounge or hangout room, a family room. I'll probably keep my computer in here and hang out on the computer, and then the kids can come in here and play. That's my goal. Do you ever dress up to play a board game? No, but I put a hat on for Sheriff of Nottingham. Do it for TI3? No, not going to happen. Did you keep Mechs vs. Minions? Ah, you did not watch Board Game Breakfast today. It's twice now I said that. Can you say happy birthday to my friend Corey? I can. Let's see. Audio's a bit out of sync. It's better if you refresh. Yeah, you're right, and I could refresh it too a little bit, but we're in a few minutes. I'm going to end here, so I'm just kind of going in through here. Let's see. I'm going to put this guy in timeout since he has asked the same question like 10 times. All right, let's keep going. Go Tribe. Well, that's fine. If you like the Indians, I'm not going to mock that. I don't feel that strongly about it, even though they did beat the Blue Jays. I mean, it does seem kind of rude of them to do that. But I just have to pick the Cubs over them. I mean, come on. Indians have won this century. The Cubs have not won in over 100 years. It just would be fun for them. But I don't feel super strongly about it. Have you envisioned the Dice Tower as a weekly 30-minute television show? That's another one where I'm going to say, have you watched Board Game Breakfast? Are 2,000 voters of the People's Choice Top 100 satisfying you? Yeah, sure. I would be satisfied with 1,000, frankly. 2,000 people is a lot of people to vote. I'm pretty happy with that. You know, people always, I mean, the percentage of people who watch a show compared to the percentage of people who vote, that was a pretty high vote. I mean, it's kind of the same amount of people who vote in actual elections sometimes. Let's see here. All right, I'm almost done here. I'm going to go down and just go through questions. It looks like Stephen Bonacor has shown up, and he says I'm ignoring him, but that's mostly because I'm that far behind on questions. All right, so zooming, looking for some good questions to end this one with them. Americlash. No, I don't like Americlash. It doesn't sound good. It looks good maybe on paper, but it doesn't sound good. Whoa, my computer seemingly has just frozen up. Oh, it unfroze. Tom, which Stronghold game is the best value and most fun? An acceptable answer is all of them. Well, that's garbage because there's some pretty bad ones. I would actually be much kinder in this response, but Stephen Bonacor apparently is watching this. So, first of all, have you checked out all the other publishers? I'd go check them out. I mean, there's a lot of great games out there. Why would you be wasting your time on Stronghold games? The real answer is Stronghold has a really strong slate this year. Obviously, Terraforming Mars is by far the best one that they've released. Um, if you like heavy Euro games, that Great Western Trail is also like knocking socks off. Like the heavy Euro game guys in my group, they borrowed it from me, and I believe they played it 8 to 10 times already. And it's been less than, well, it's been a little over a week since they borrowed it. These guys are crazy. They love that. It's a very good game. Those are probably the two strongest ones. Fabled Fruit is good, but it's going to appeal to a much lighter crowd, like the very opposite of Great Western Trail. And the Lagrange dice game is also good. It's a strong slate. I have not played any games that he has done yet this year that I've disliked. From Essen that I've disliked, but there's a couple I haven't played. I haven't played the little Fiji one or whatever it's called, and I haven't played Fog of War yet. I think I've played the rest. So, yeah, it's been a good year. What color lightsaber would you have? I don't know. I like a dual color lightsaber. So pink and blue. Let's see here. Don Bonacker will put a hit out in Tom Vasel soon. Well, that's good. If someone can screen cap that, they can see that he has just threatened me online. And I believe that's legal. I think I could take him to court over that one. Not getting into politics, guys, and I'm really, really excited that in 9 days this will be over. Yes. Do you have a favorite Star Trek captain? Please don't say Kirk. No, I wasn't going to say Kirk. Although I do like the Captain Kirk from the new movies, but it would be Cisco for sure. Well, I think I'm going to... I have not picked a name for the Dice Tower Kids channel yet, so I'm still working on that. So that's about that. I know there's been a lot of questions I did not answer, but the good news is I'll do this again next week, and the week after that, and the week after that. There's always lots of things that we can answer, questions to answer. So that was it for today. I know many of you are going to be going out, maybe if you live in America, and you're going out and doing Halloween stuff tonight, so be safe in that regard. Maybe you're getting together to play Halloween-themed game nights. Have fun doing that. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got here. So until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching Live Q&A on the Dice Tower.